Yeah.
And we got the goddess Anahata in here, right?
Oh, it's about to
Pew,
be
pew,
on.
pew,
Yes, I'm
I
pew.
think
here.
this
I'm
It's
is
gonna
here.
this is a
jam.
perfect way for us to get
Yes, yes.
back in the day. I gotta hear what you gotta say about back in the days. You the baby out
Now,
the bunch.
and interestingly enough, as I was listening, since I came in a little later, I heard Adriana and I heard Tone's piece, both of their pieces. And even though there's a slight age gap, I still felt so much of it because we still share so many of the same experiences. And that goes to further highlight just how one, nostalgic time can be, but two, how irrelevant time is into the fact that if you're in the midst of your experiences, they continue to translate and they continue to have life for years and for other generations and for other decades, literally decade time periods, can still share them. Even when it comes to my younger brothers, we're 7 and 14 years apart. I'm the oldest, and they still have some of the experiences that I grew up on. And I'm able to relate them all together. And there's no gaps in experience loss. They still get it, just like how I still get it when I heard what I heard when I'm hearing the music artists and the TV shows and the way that everyone was dressing and the way that Tone really personified nature. And I still understand it the same way. And the way that I grew up in libraries, my mom used to take me to libraries in a car seat. So I've been in libraries since I was an infant. And then I used to get the what's the word I'm looking for? I would get VCR tapes and then I would get even the audiobook tapes for the books that I would read as a kid. And then that's what taught me how to read. So all of those experiences all together, you would never think I still grew up on VCR tapes, but I did. I was there for it. I
Mhm.
got to have it and it was great. so
Oh
so
man, not the VHS.
uh-huh.
Yup.
The
That's
the
old school.
the tapes were there and I had a full collection of them and I was still around for floppy disks and I was still around for payphones and things that my youngest brother would look he looks at me crazy when I said payphone or when I say phone book and just certain things like that. Those are like foreign words and how we're all still so closely related together as I listen to you all. And I love that part. That is the back in all of our day, really. And this piece that I have, it takes a bit of a different direction. This one is called Party Time. And for context, I wrote it as a reflection of my time in undergrad when I was in college and how everybody would relate to each other and how everybody basically grew up. The part that people forget about college when you're going in undergrad, especially if you're going in starting at 18, everybody's coming straight from their home experiences, straight from whatever trauma they had, straight from whatever they were going through at home, straight from whatever they hadn't learned from yet. Nobody is developed and everybody's still experiencing themselves and learning. So the way that a lot of people would become friends when I was in college, if y'all know the term, you're trying to match and what that means. That means you trying to smoke and that's how everybody became friends. You can go up to complete strangers, male, female, everybody. That's how everyone became friends. You trying to match? I got weed, you got weed. Let's do that and let's engage, let's experience. And that's how people with no other way to relate, that's how they related to each other through a substance. And then a lot of it would become trauma bonding. And then a lot of it would lead into different things, but that was always the foundation. And I realized that that's not healthy in the way that it's being used. So this is where that piece came from. And this is so much deeper than just the act in itself. It always came from the root of back in all of our day, what really led up to the fact that this is where we are right now, using this substance to take us into a different element as the way that we can connect. Why can't people connect with each other now? But then it comes from what was happening back in the day. So this is party time. I remember when match was a term of endearment. Now, match sounds like a threat because I know it's just a battle of who can mask their pain the best, who wants to drown quicker, Who can suffer faster? Not a match I'm ready to win. My ancestors would be ashamed at why I'm crying. Just imagine the amount of boulders they had to take up off my chest, and I got the nerve to tell them I can't handle this? Now, all of them deserve the energies. All of them deserve better energy, but all this adverse energy is spinning me, and I just won't take it no more. So I pull the white flag on the match I was in. Mask my pain, not a battle I'm ready to win. I let trees and the liquor be my gate to begin, gate wide open to everyone else's pain. Thought I could take it so they could feel better again. The only way I could still think I'm breathing when swimming among sharks. It was fun till it wasn't anymore. Being the only lifeboat in a sea of trodden souls, I remember when Match turned everyone into homies and besties, a commonality of each crazy life. Now, Match is a radar for me to assess if you're a hurt one or if you really do just want to have some fun. And I get it now. After some trial and error, my only error was not being me. But I'm me now. I'm she now. I can breathe now at peace. Now, match still ain't no invite, but now it's not a threat to me. I say.
Per usual, absolute fire.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Absolute fire.
Thank you.
Right on time.
I love that
And
imagery. Fire.
I want to say one more time that I appreciate the pieces that I did here for the lightheartedness and the beautiful levels of nostalgia that they brought, even though I took it to a more intense place of back in the day and what that means in one regard, in that your pieces were so calming and being able to remember the beautiful parts. And even Adriana said that there were so many beautiful parts of back in the day, of remembering, of bringing up memories, and they can get lost when you're not even trying to be focused on the pain, but the human brain is wired to focus on the pain first before the beauty. And that you made it a point, and Tone made it a point to bring those into the equation first. And then even with this sharp turn and the sharp juxtaposition of it can be beautiful, but back in the day is so diverse, and it's how far back do you want to go? And I love that y'all took it real far back, and I was able to take it back, but that's not as far back as being able to really recall the beautiful moments of what shaped your adult experience growing up. This allowed me to put it in perspective of, is farther back since I'm not that young adult anymore, even though I'm still young. Don't say it. Even though I'm still young, but I'm not that level of young. And so it feels so far away because of how much I've grown. And back in the day can literally be just a couple years, depending on how much you've grown in that time.
True indeed. True.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Okay.
That's a fact. Back in the day, but also Sister Caroline also said it in the when we first I also first came up with it. Back in the day could be before you was born. Back in the day could be a time period that brings any kind of nostalgic memory or whatever to yourself. Like for instance, when I was listening, taking those CDs, oldies and goodies, I didn't grow up in that time. I don't know nothing of it. I just know that one time I heard my foster parents playing it, and the music, the words that I was listening to while I was locked in the basement, like resonated with me. Like, so when I took when she went to work and I stole my first CD from out of her room and I listened to it, like I listened to it over and over. Like I put myself like in that space, however it may look. It may not have been exactly how it might have been, but in my mind. But Sister Caroline said a thing, and it's so true, that back in the days could even be before your time, because one of my greatest inspirations was the Black Panther Party that I didn't have no like affiliation with, but
At
only
all.
through, you know what I'm saying, through watching, hearing, and learning through my older sister, because she loved them. I didn't have no. So for me, that was back in the day, and it molded me to be kind of a little bit more militant in certain ways that I conduct myself, because I have such admiration for them. But that was before I was even
I
born.
like that you said that. But thank you for bringing that up and being able to retouch on that point so I could get it. And I definitely can resonate with and appreciate that. I remember doing an entire essay on the Black Panther Party, and it was a comprehensive essay to where we had to, when I was in grade school, make a full, not just the paper, but we had to make a full project on it. And so I was pulling up all types of music and pieces and making things incorporating the Black Panthers and feeling like that was me, like I was one of the Black Panthers kids, and I'm over
You
here
know what
in
I'm
my
saying?
little
Because that's what I felt. That's what I felt. I'm telling you.
That's how
Can't
you
tell me
able to
nothing.
draw that connection to it, right? You know what that makes me think of? My son, he has a project that he's doing in social studies right now,
Mhm.
and it's on Egypt, and he chose the god Set. And I'm interested in seeing what connection he draws from that, how he
That's
gets,
dope too.
you know,
Because he was a
connected
bad
to
guy.
that piece.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
Hell
yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
Are you working on it with him, or are you just waiting to see what he produces to see
I send him
where his
stuff
brain is at?
to get inspiration from. So we'll build on it together.
That's
But I'm
dope.
letting him be in the driver's seat. You know, it's his
That's dope.
Yeah.
work. So, yeah.
That's fire.
That's fire. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm curious too. So when he finished the project, let us know what he came up with was his findings, because it's always intriguing, because some youth now, we have a perception, you know what I'm saying, based off of general time and where people are. But some of the youth they be
Sharp.
surprising us. You be like, oh, you. So I'm
You
curious.
actually tapped in. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm
Here.
saying? So I'm curious to see where he goes with it. Egypt is such a big, like, there's a lot to draw from that.
Yes. Yes.
A
Yes.
lot. I'm
I would
curious. That's what's
like
up.
that I love. This is gonna sound wrong, but I'm a youth worker, right? And I love that you let us into young people's secrets, because I want to know you like secrets, because you got secret codes like match. Like, what is this match? I'm sitting here like in my
Me
chair.
too.
Everybody better go upside everybody talking about match.
That's
No. If you ever
think-
hear somebody say are you trying to match, that means are you also trying to equally reciprocate us engaging in
Are you
smoking
going
weed? That means,
half?
yeah, I have
Right.
some, you have some, let's go half, or I'll go half on a
Yeah.
gram or two, then you go, we split it, we share it, and we gonna have a session. That's what that means.
That is
Yeah.
that
You know what? I think
She's like,
was the
now I'm
same thing
listening,
when I was
homie.
a
I'm
kid.
listening now.
I
I was
think
saying that at 15.
that's a thing from over here, because even in high school we would say the same thing, and I'm
Right.
4 decades on this earth, so it's
That's
probably just
crazy
a
for
thing of
sure.
over here. Yeah, we used to say,
never
yo, you trying to
heard that.
match?
Yeah, for dead serious. Like,
We used
yo,
to say
I'm
that
at
too.
you. What you, what's up?
Yeah.
Oh, what you got? And we would say that in undergrad before even exchanging names.
Oh,
And that's
dang.
the part,
I don't
that's
even need
one
to
of
know
the
your name. You
parts
got bud?
that made it crazy. Or even if nobody had it, we agree on the session and we trying to figure out who got the person that they could call. And then we say, oh, well, by the way,
The
and
But
so
then
cannabis
to
this,
connection.
juxtapose that with with the psychology of it,
mhm.
beautiful. Like
So,
to go into depth of why you want to feel that way. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's an
It
Yeah.
goes
amazing way to
so
think about
deep, and no one's
but
ever thought about it that deep before until I sat back and really realized how much of that was incorporated into all 4 years of 4 stages of undergrad, 2 different colleges, 2 different states, 2 different types of people, and it was all still the same.
Wow.
what's
Everybody's
crazy
hurting.
is, sorry, whoever I cut off, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You good? Go ahead.
No, what was crazy is that, like, because it's a double-edged sword, because even in that, it's still a bonding, like it's still a way like people to interact and come in. My 2 of my closest friends, one of them we're not so close anymore since I got locked up, but we met in school, both off a smoking session or whatever, like, but so there's that. You still get to meet, but there's also the other part that you spoke about, the trauma bonding. because you meeting and talking, and it's so easy to link up with somebody who has the same likes as you, but then you're not really even understanding why you have the same likes. And then you start getting into it or whatever, and then you start moving and building off of the same energy or whatever, and then you get sucked in and trapped and magnetized to that energy like harder. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy, but I ain't gonna lie, don't match me. Bring your own, but I'm sure
I do want to say that I can relate to what you're saying, the goddess Anahata, in the sense of I think I experienced something similar going to London, coming from a little town that was suburban and quiet. And when I got to London, I didn't, like you've said, I didn't realize that it was trauma bonding, but people were talking about stuff that was so far away from my existence. And I'm finding myself embroiled in this world that I don't know anything about. You know, friends of mine who had parents who were addicts or lived on estates that were super rough and dangerous and could get stabbed or shot, and for me, like, I didn't know nothing about that. So I love hearing the reflection and the juxtaposition of, as you've said, of you not really being about that, but finding yourself in that, and then going, you know what, I'll wave the white flag, I'm out of here, because this ain't good for me. I love that. Yeah,
you strong, because I would have still been in there popping like, this ain't no good for me. And I know it. You gonna match me?
Granted, that took some time, because for me, it wasn't an intentional trauma bond, but that's how people were bonding to me. So when I said these weren't even, like Supernatural C was just saying, they're not my traumas. I'm the one who, this is an activity I engage in, but I'm just having fun. But that was a gateway for people who felt uncomfortable existing. They felt uncomfortable interacting. They didn't know how to talk to each other. And of course, it's worse now with this social media decline age. Nobody knows how to spark up a conversation. They don't know what to say. They don't know how to interact. So that was a way for me to help people feel comfortable with me. And then finally, now their inhibitions are down. Now they're not thinking so hard about it. Now they can just talk. Now they can just be themselves. Now they can finally express, because they're so heavily guarded. They're guarded with everything that they've experienced. They don't know how to just be, or they don't know how to communicate. And it became unhealthy for me, because then over time they would be trying to put more of that into my atmosphere because of what they weren't trying to learn from, or maybe they didn't know that they needed to heal or learn from it, but I could sense it and I could feel it, because I've always been very sensitive to those things and to energies. And so they were using that as a gateway to figure out how they could attach themselves to me. And then when I'm around other people, then I'm seeing it interacting. But because, like Tone said, I had my fun, I'm still like, dang, 5 grams is better than 2. So
you understand me? Do you understand me?
You just read my energy.
So I still engage.
That's the truth of it.
But then, of course, over time, I said, no, I'm going to cut this off. And if this is something that I like, I'm going to just probably have to do it over here by myself. Because y'all not doing it.
I think you have to safeguard. Going through life, you've got to safeguard against what you just said. Because not everybody who's had trauma is going to try and latch onto you. But if you have a strong center that can be sensed, you're always going to go back to what you knew. People always go back to what they knew, which is why a really traumatic childhood can be a lot harder to get through. But your default isn't that. Your default is something else. It's not hard for you to go back to that. But the danger that I've learned personally and I've seen professionally with young people that I know through the work is that you want to be kind, but you can't let people latch onto you like that. You have to manage it like you manage money, you know what I mean? And as I say, it's not always the people that you think. Me and my daughters were talking just the other day. I watched this, I'll say this really quickly, this documentary it was about a murder in a really affluent area. And it was these boys trying to pretend to be something. And the nicest boy out of the group, who came from a really like humble background, working class, he got a scholarship and went to this super posh school with these kids that, you know, their parents are footballers, they're multimillionaires, they're in one of the most affluent areas in the country. And the one that got killed was the one from the humble background. And these other two were pretending to be something, and just one stab, you know, and he was gone. You know what I mean? But I have seen for professionally that it's not always about not having. And I mean, financially, sometimes it's about not that gap emotionally, regardless of your background. If you haven't got that love, these youths, when you see the pictures of them on the documentary, they don't look good. They're unhappy.
Yeah.
If you haven't got that loving home, that foundation. So you know, you said a lot in that piece. You said a lot.
Oh, thank you. And a big part of back in the day for me was turning into a counselor for a lot of people, and I was not getting paid or compensated in any way. But back in the day, to fit the theme, that was me. And wanting really to understand where individuals are coming from, since we are so many different people who share so many commonalities, like your poems have expressed, in like how we all know there is so much that we all relate to on the good side, but what is the part on this opposite side that has also made you this? And even though back in your days, in my day, from some of those traumatic standpoints, what are these things here? And then how can we not have to utilize any outside influence to heal, to where it can be fun again, which is why I put that in my last piece. I'm not against it, of course, but only when it's fun. Strip yourself of anything that could hinder you from your growth until you can heal, and then it become fun again. And then you'll know what's the truth. What was that?
That's a fact.
Can I just say one thing? Oh, sorry, Adriana, you saying something? Say it. I'll go.
Oh, no, I was just gonna like your last point is a beautiful point. There was a time where it was a trauma thing for me, and I put weed down for years because I wanted to figure myself out without it, because that was absolutely something I used to be social and all of those things, because I didn't have the leg to stand on my own. And there's a complete difference of an experience, even if you give yourself that break. I noticed that. Like when you start doing the work, when you start really taking yourself outside of that one box where you have to do this or that to fit, it makes 100% difference. So now, you know, if I were to indulge in something like that, it would be more spiritual, because that's where my head is. I probably talk to God for 3 hours. You know what I'm saying?
That's fire.
That's the difference. That is the difference. It's 100% worth it to examine yourself in that way. So that was very beautiful. I definitely resonated with this. Very powerful.
I already know it though.